Hey, hello, and welcome to my day number 3 of 90 of 90 here at the Audacity Factor. My name is Kathryn Daw. I am your host and the creator and founder of the Audacity Factor here on YouTube, on Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Also, you can join me on Patreon as a member of my community, the Audacity Project. You can join for free too. I invite you to join at the free level and see what's available to you. And so that I can offer you more too. I would love to have a conversation and for you to join the conversation there as well. So, sometimes, I mean, we have to be able to take some criticism or suggestions, right? So I changed my background a little bit, which I really do like, at a suggestion from my ex-husband, which I find really funny. He said I looked like I had a disembodied head on the other videos, which I couldn't even believe he watched. But, sometimes we can take some suggestions even from our exes in good faith. So I changed it. I actually really like it better. And I'm glad that he said something. And I did think it was funny that he and apparently everybody that he works with was watching some of my videos on TikTok. So you can see me there occasionally too. I don't really have a presence on TikTok, but you can find me there some. Mostly here on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as well, and on LinkedIn too. So I try to cover a bunch of the bases. I am on Chatter. I am on Clubhouse, although I don't participate there a whole lot either. So, but I encourage you to follow me here on YouTube, subscribe, show me some likes, write me some comments. I would love to hear, even if it's criticism, like my ex-husband. So, and a big part of that, our defensiveness can be around not being able to be okay with being wrong or making a mistake. And I know you've heard me say this before. And that all kind of can come from beliefs in that it's a weakness to be wrong. Oh my God, are we not all wrong at some point or another? Do we not all make mistakes at one point or another? Always. We always do. And I don't have that belief in a failure and success. Those terms are just so loaded with shame and judgment and guilt and fear and all the things. So I tend not to use those. It's really just we're all out here making mistakes, doing the best that we can, knowing that sometimes our best isn't that great. And that can be kind of another hard pill to swallow. But it's worth it to you to be able to drop the defensiveness, and we'll say kind of slough off those, they're not boundaries. They're these protective barriers to you actually having what you want, getting what you want, and feeling how you want to feel. And fear and shame and judgment, guilt are never the answer. Never. So, I invite you today to think about your beliefs around that. Think about what is causing you to think that way. And has it been something that's been trained into you? Maybe by your family, because it all starts very, very young. We teach our children. As a parent, I recognize, and I recognize my own mistakes, things that I wouldn't do again. However, I can't undo them. I can certainly apologize for them and do things differently. Now, my daughter's 25, so she's working out her own ability to be able to recover from her parenting, which I tell her all the time. She says, "Oh, mom." But it's true, and I can accept that. As she does as well. So it's really not about control. It's really not about showing signs of weakness. It's when you can own up to maybe things that worked for you in the past, they're not working now. When you can own that and adjust that, that is one of the best things you can do for yourselves. And if you're a parent like me, that will be reflected to your children, your grandchildren, your friends, whoever it is. But it's really, I think we have a bit more of a focus on how we affect our kids when you're a parent. But if you're not a parent, even, oh my God, even if you have pets, they know if you're happy or if you're not happy, don't they? Don't they come to comfort you? Or maybe if it's cat, maybe they come to annoy you on purpose to distract you from your feelings, whatever your feelings may be that are uncomfortable or hurtful, or you're trying to suppress. And that's never something good. It's always good to learn how to allow those feelings to move through you as opposed to set up camp and live there. They're actually like building a house, putting on a garage, maybe putting on a mother-in-law suite. And that's not what we want to have happen. We've got to be able to move through our experiences, not live in them. And it can be hard not to, especially when we've suffered severe trauma. It can be difficult not to live in the feelings of that. And not only that, but it can be amplified. We can amplify it. We can, as I say, breathe life into it. We can keep poking at that bruise to make sure it still hurts because it reminds us we're still the victim. But your goal is not ever to live in the victimhood. And I know that can be difficult. My original issue with being able to wrap my head and my heart and everything around that, knowing I had been victimized severely traumatized, was that I felt like it was going to invalidate my experience. Like it was just going to wipe it away and that like it didn't ever happen and that wouldn't be okay. Now this doesn't invalidate your experience. You've had your experience, but it's what did you learn from that experience? I spent a decade in an abusive relationship. And what did I learn from that? I learned that it was my responsibility to stand up for myself and not stay in that. Not that I judge or shame myself for that anymore. I don't, but it did lead there, and it did led me to staying there longer than I would have. I used to say that the best day of that relationship was the first day. And hey, if you're listening, that's a true story, true statement right there. But it's not about us hoarding that and hoarding the fact that we were victimized and traumatized. It's always about being able to recover ourselves from that, to not let it live in us, but recognizing that it's our responsibility to live a happy, joy-filled life. So the healing process is meant to dissolve our attachments to any of that. I mean, hell, I took some advice from my ex-husband, which is an amazing thing. And this was not the abusive relationship I was talking about. It wasn't him. So I want to clarify that. He's not that person. Thus I would actually, be able to take some suggestions from him, which I still find entertaining. And I'm sure my daughter does as well. So Ed, if you're seeing this, thank you. And tell me what you think about it. Really, get the collective and tell me, is this better? I don't look like a disembodied head. But it's up to us. My dad used to have this saying that if you're not having fun, it's your own damn fault. So, and that's true. It is your responsibility 100%. If you're living in fear, if you're living in shame, if you're living in guilt, you're living in judgment, you're living in your trauma, it is 100% up to you to recover yourself from that, to detach yourself. And I don't mean numb. I'm not talking numb here. I'm talking about dismantling all of that so that you can actually be free of all those protective barriers you've put up, because they block everything that you actually want. They block love, they block connection, they block compassion, they block community. Everything that you actually want is on the other side of those barriers. So what have you learned? And I finally realized one day, many years ago, I had built, I had isolated myself too to try to protect myself from being traumatized anymore. And I recognized finally that those barriers were so high and so close to me that if they fell, I was the one that was going to get crushed. Wasn't going to do anything to anybody else, only to me. So I recognized that I had to then stop shoring them up, stop building them higher, and then learn how to dismantle them. Now, whatever avenue you step into for your healing process, whether it's a therapist, coach, there are so many avenues out there for you. I liked tangible, tactical things. So for me, I studied all kinds of metaphysical card readings, crystals and herbs and holistic healthcare and coaching, all kinds of coaching. I've had all kinds of so for me, it was those kind of tangible pieces that I was able to put together kind of as a puzzle. But it wasn't until I understood that the real goal was to dismantle my attachments and dissolve the attachments to my traumas that I was really able to make true change in my life. And I encourage you to really think about that. And what can you do? What's one thing that you can do today? Take a look at your thinking. What are your beliefs around that, about making mistakes or hoarding your trauma, hoarding your triggers? In a previous video, I talked about hoarding our triggers. Our goal is not to hoard them or to avoid them. Our goal is to dismantle them and dissolve them so that they have no effect on us anymore. Just imagine just sit for 5 minutes or 30 seconds even. Close your eyes and imagine what it would be like not to have any of those triggers, not to have any of those attachments, none of those bruises to poke at. That you would be free of all of it, of all the pain, all the shame, all the judgment, all the guilt, whatever it is for you. And know that you can have that. It's your responsibility to do, but take a step today, I encourage you. Whatever you need to do, join my community. You can join for free. Watch all of these videos. Find someone that you connect with that's offering you not something based in fear, but something based in hope, compassion, empathy. And as an empath, I completely get it. So I encourage you to find your way. I'd be happy for you to join my community. I extend to you that invitation. Again, you can join for free. There are also 2 paid tiers on Patreon. You can just follow me here on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All right, that's it. Peace out for me for day 3 of 90.